Hello and good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar. My name's Jackie and I'm going to be taking you through some tips and tricks in Sage 50 accounts. Hopefully some quick fixes that might make life a little bit easier along the way. So this is one of our really popular sessions. I'm joined by Michael. Michael's on hand in the background to answer any questions you may have. So please do use the questions panel. You can use it throughout the session to send any questions you may have, and we'll try and keep on top of those for you. Your microphone has been placed on mute, so if you do have any questions, you will need to use that questions option using the icon that looks like a speech bubble with the question mark in the middle there. Also, there is a handout, so if you want to have a look at that handout, you can access the handout. It looks like a document with the folded corner, and it will give you access to the handout there. Okay, apologies there. I'm just going to have a the quick question has come through there about emailing documents. Apologies, we've got an old message on there, so please don't click on that link. It will just give you a link to this one here. We have a recording, so I will show you where that recording is available. So apologies for that. I think we've just got a slightly older message on there, but we'll get that one shown to you later on. We will have links to future webinars as well and recordings in the follow-up email. So if you don't hang on till the end, there will be an email follow-up for you as well. So this is what we're going to cover in today's session. So first of all, we're going to be looking a lot at the options feature, which is within tools. But we're going to also look at toolbars and color schemes. So a good way of differentiating different records from one another and also different windows from one another within the software. We've got AI tools. So I'm going to show you how you can use the report finder in the software. And then we're going to move on to selection styles. So there's two different selection styles in the software that you can access. It depends which one you prefer as to which one you wish to use. I'm going to show you how to hide deleted transactions. This is a great feature if you've got lots of deleted transactions that you want to remove from your activity temporarily. For reporting purposes, it might just make your data a little bit easier to view. Very briefly touch on inactive accounts. I'm going to talk about favorites and default layouts and also the function keys. So lots of little hints and tips along the way today. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into it because, like I say, we've got a lot to show you today. We've got two data sets, so I'm going to pull these across in just a moment so I can show these to you. But the first thing I'm going to just talk about is the toolbars, and it's not just the toolbars, but also your column headers within the software and also your modules down the left-hand side. All of this can be configured to your needs. This allows you to hide maybe icons that you don't use or use less regularly. And also modules, if you don't want to access a particular module or it might be something you keep clicking on by accident, what you can do is hide those features. Like I say, it's temporary, so it doesn't mean it's gone forever, but it just streamlines the software so that you are only showing what you use on a regular basis. It's really easy to hide a feature, or hide an icon, hide a column, and to bring them back. So what I'm just going to do first, I'm going to bring across demonstration data. So this is probably another great top tip, is using the demonstration data will allow you to access a data set, which is not your live data set, but it allows you to have a go at things without impacting your live data. So if you are feeling a little bit nervous, then you can use the demo data there. So when you log in, it gives you an option for demonstration data. The login is manager, leave the password blank. That will take you into a data set like mine. So I'm going to pop into customers, and along the top, what we've got is quite a few options that aren't regularly used by everyone. Okay, so you might think, well, I don't really use this debt analysis feature. I'm just going to right click on that, and from the tick list here, I'm going to untick that. And what it does, it just removes it from this window here. Okay, it means that the icons I'm looking at are just the icons I need. And they may differ from my colleague. They may need to see different things to myself. Just going to do a couple here. So I'm just going to untick a few. And you can see it's starting to really make that window at the top less cluttered, easier to access. It's just as easy to reinstate them. So should I decide, actually, I do want those back, I just right click on any of the icons again and I tick them to reappear again. If I wanted to reset it back to where it was to begin with, I can click the option to use defaults and just reinstate everything. We can do the same on the left-hand side. So it might be that you are responsible for the sales ledger only, and purchases is not anything you deal with. So what you could do is you could do the same with your purchase orders if you use them, and suppliers by right-clicking and then removing the tick. Again, really easy to bring back by right-clicking any of the headers and getting them to reappear. Also, we've got the headers. Okay, so by default, this is the default view in suppliers. You might think, actually, I don't want to see this inactive column. I don't use inactive records. So you can, again, right-click on any header and tick or untick the ones you wish to see. But this also means you can add anything that shows here to your columns too. So it might be that you want to see your customers and you want to see all of their email addresses that are in email 1. The great feature about this though is anything that you can add here, I'm just going to add a payment due as well, can then be printed. Okay, so anything that's showing on this window here, we can then send to Excel, or you can print list. You can also run reports on what's showing in the window there. But send to Excel is a great feature because that will show exactly what you're seeing in the software in Excel, and from there you can do things like your filters, searches, etc. So that's a really good feature, just to make sure that the software shows exactly what you need to see, not what everyone else needs to see. This is specific to yourself there. So that's our first feature. There is the toolbars and the headers. Now what you might want to do is you might want to change your color theme on your software. And there's two ways to do this. We've got a color theme, but we also have ledger colors as well. Now with your color theme, you don't have a huge amount of choice. You've got light and dark, and I think a grey feature, which I'll show you in just a moment. But they're all sort of very similar to one another. So there's nothing too strikingly different. But if you do want a dark background, you work better with a dark background, then you can change that to the dark theme. But what we also have is ledger colors. Now I have picked quite a shall we say, bright color there, just to give an example here. But what this allows you to do is to differentiate between the records. And you can pick a color that's more suitable to you. Like I say, I've just tried to pick something quite stand out on this so you could see what this looks like. We have it a lot in technical support just so we can make sure we're looking at the right ledger. So you might want to have your customers one color. So in this example here, I've chosen the dark blue. And then you might want your suppliers to be a different color so that you know when you're searching in a particular module, you're in the right module, because I know that my suppliers should be green. So again, a bit of a time saver, because when you're in a rush, you just log onto a screen, you're starting to search for a customer, but actually you're in the suppliers window. It's very easily done. So hopefully this will help you to identify exactly what window you're in. So again, I'll show you this in action. Bring my data back up. So at the moment, I don't have any colors on here at all. To change the colors, you can go into Tools and Options. Like I said, this is where we're going to spend a lot of the time today. And within Options, we can have a look at the colors. So we have the color theme. So mine's set to light. We do have dark, which is the darker version, and then white. So light and white are quite similar to one another. But if you do want a darker themed background, you can use the dark option. Next, just going to show you those alternate row colors. So at the moment, I've got none set up in my software, but I can change them using this icon here, and I can pick from the basic colors, or I can go in to define some custom colors, because you might find that these ones here are quite bright. You might want something a little bit more subtle than the ones we've popped on there. So I'm going to try and pick one of my most subtle ones that are available. And okay, so that's taken my customers onto pink. And for suppliers, I'll just use this edit option here. I'm just going to use the yellow there. Like I say, not very subtle, they're quite bright, but the lightest ones we can find there. So I'm going to OK. And now when I go into my customers, you can see it just gives me the line divider. So it's much easier to differentiate line by line. So particularly if you're reading across the screen from left to right, it makes it a bit easier if the colors are different per line. If I wanted to switch it off, so again, you might not want to commit to that forever. It might be something that helps you with a particular task. You can go back into tools or options. You can change the color to something else, or you can get it to ignore custom colors. We'll do that for you. There you go. I'm just going to go back into tools and options because I just want to show you I've got the grid line showing on mine. Okay, so also in here you've got, apologies, just colors. There we go, it's in ledgers. So in here you can show the grid lines. Okay, so if you don't want to necessarily differentiate them by different colors, what you can do is show the grid lines, and that will actually show you the lines in between each record as well. So that might also help you with that. And that looks a little bit like this one with the lines on there. Okay, so that is the ledger colors. So I'm briefly going to touch on the AI tools. So we do have more AI tools coming. We do have Copilot in the pipeline. Just want to show you one of the tools that came about in version 30, which is the AI report finder, which should help you when you're searching for reports in the software. So for this one, I'm just going to go into a data set which I have connected to the cloud. So when we say connected to the cloud, it just basically means that we have connected to our Sage account. We've logged in using our Sage account details to connect our data. So you may have already done this if you've used things like bank feeds or remote data access. If you haven't already used it, it will look a little bit like this, and it will just ask you to log in or create an account. So here I am in my supplier reports. And if I go into search for report, what I would get, apologies, I'm on the wrong data set, what I would get is the option to connect to an account. In this one, if I go into reports, I've got the option for report finder. So if you haven't already connected, what it will do is it will ask you to enable now. Okay, you'll have the option to enable, and that's where it'll ask you to connect using your email address. Because I am connected, because I use bank feeds for this particular data set, as you can see, it now gives me the option to search for what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to pop in a search that I have prepared and just pop in the word recurring items. And what this AI report finder does is it searches across all of the reports in the software, regardless of the module you're in. So if you're in suppliers, it will search outside of the supplier reports. And what it's done is it's looked for any reports that refer to recurring items. And it's looked across sales orders, it's looked at suppliers, it's also found some invoices for me as well. Now, some of these might not be obvious, it might not say recurring in them, but you can see in the description there, we have the option on there to hide or include recurring items. So this is a great one because there's actually over 900 reports in the software, and it's a really popular question of, can I get a report that will show me this? This will help you because it does use your natural language. You don't necessarily need to type in a report name. You can use natural language to do searches and it will pull up the reports. What you can also do is tell it whether or not the results were any good for you, and it allows the AI feature to learn from you too. So that is the AI report finder. So there is my example there of natural language searching. So down here it gives you some examples, and there is also a really useful article on the Help Centre as well that gives you a little bit more information about those everyday language searches as well. Okay. So next we're going to move on to selection style there. So some great questions starting to come through. So please do get them across to us. And like I say, Michael will try and get those answered for you. We're going to move on to selection style next. And selection style is all to do with how you click on records in the software. There's two ways to do this. You may be most familiar with this because we introduced this feature a few years ago and it automatically sort of changed selection style. We had lots of calls at the time of how do I make it do what it did before? I don't like the way it's working at the moment. I wanted to do how it previously worked. So this is probably one that's best to demonstrate, but the photograph there does show you whereabouts you would find the selection style. So it's in the tools option, into options, and then environment. And in there you've got two selection styles, and you can use both. You just would need to change it in between each sort of search if you wanted to use both of them. I'm going to show you on this data set here. Okay, so I'm back into my demonstration data. Just want to show you which one I've got activated, which is normally here by default. We normally have Windows selection style by default. Okay, so that's Windows. What that means is when I'm in my customers, when I'm selecting items, when I click on an item, it moves the highlight onto the item. Okay, now previous to this update, it would have been a few years ago that this happened. What used to happen is when you clicked on one and then clicked on another, it would highlight both of them for you and you could start to highlight items that way. So with Windows selection style, it doesn't do that. It just moves on like it does in Windows and when you're using things like Excel. What we can do though, is if we wanted to highlight a group, we could highlight the top one, use the Shift key and highlight the bottom one we wanted to use, and that will highlight the entire group for us. So it allows us to highlight multiple records. The other way of doing this is Sage selection style. So like I said, this used to be the only option you had. And again, this is in Tools, then Options. And I'm just going to pop into the Environment tab, change this over. And this time, with Sage selection style, what it allows me to do is highlight multiple items that aren't concurrent. So I can leave gaps in there. And from there, I can run things like reports, etc. If I want to remove the highlight rather than having to go through, because remember you might have quite a long list here, you can clear. Okay, and clear just removes what you've highlighted so you can start again. So you can use a mix of two, but it does mean each time you want to use a particular feature, you do need to go back to Tools and Options and then just change that selection style over there in the Environment tab. Okay, so that is the selection style in the software. And like I say, we still get comments on these sessions now that say, oh, that changed years ago and I wish I could have learned that sooner, how to change that back. Okay, next I'm going to show you excluding deleted transactions. And what this won't do is it won't remove transactions from your audit trail, okay? Your audit trail or your transactions window will always show all of your transactions, regardless of whether they're deleted or not. As you can see here, I've got quite a few deleted transactions. And if I just go into settings, company preferences, and into parameters, I just want to show you the feature first of all. So we've got the option here to exclude deleted transactions. So that's not ticked at the moment. So if we use that as an example, go back to transactions, we've got this customer here with 3 items that are deleted. If we go into their record, into here, we can see all of the transactions, including the deleted transaction here. Okay, so it's having no impact on the overall balance, but it is in my my activity. So if I'm running things like reports, or I'm trying to look through the transaction list, if I've got lots of deletions, it's going to again make it harder to sort of sift through and find the relevant information. So what we can do is we can temporarily hide them from the activity windows. So things like, if we go into settings, company preferences again, into parameters and tick this box, go into the customers again. What that does is from my activity window only, it's removed it. Okay, so you can see there's no deleted transactions showing there. We've got nothing showing in red. However, in transactions, you can see it's still there. So it just removes it from the activity windows, making it far easier for you to look through relevant live transactions rather than lots and lots of deleted transactions there. Okay, so whilst we're on the topic there of inactive transactions, inactive records, again, another way you can filter your lists is to mark records as inactive. So it might be that you're clearing out data, you've been able to clear lots of your older customers, but what you may also want to do is mark customers who you can't remove from the software as inactive. Now to do this, a customer does need to meet certain criteria, and this feature is available across customers, suppliers, nominal records and products. They do need to meet criteria for you to mark them as inactive. Just as an example, if I go into this one here, ABS garages, what you can see here in the details tab is this inactive box here. So if I wanted to mark it as inactive, I could pop the tick in and click on save. Now this probably won't let me, because one of the criteria for customers is it has to have a 0 balance. So if we're trying to save, it will tell me exactly why you can't do that. So it's saying the balance isn't 0 there. What I'm going to just do is remove a filter that we've got applied and pick this one here. And again, I'm just going to mark this one as inactive. Once it is inactive, you can show your inactive column, which I hid earlier, and you can see who is inactive using this column here. But what you can also do in the top right corner is hide the inactive accounts. So it means if they are marked as inactive, they can be hidden from your main ledgers. Again, that makes it easier for you to see relevant data that's live, it's up-to-date data. You're not using customers who are marked as inactive and potentially looking to be deleted. So that is the inactive feature there, which ties in quite nicely. Just going to jump back to the slides for a moment, just so we can catch up there, because we're going to just quickly move on to filters and sorts in the software. Now we have got a dedicated session on filter sorts, how to apply things like wildcards, etc. So this is a really sort of quick stop at filters and sorts that may potentially again help you just to see the relevant data in your software. Now, why would you want to do a filter or sort? Like I say, first of all, you're going to be hiding in these irrelevant records. Okay, so it might be you filter your list to just show those customers who have a balance, for example. Filters and sorts also help you to locate records, so you can use a filter to find certain records that meet certain criteria. But also it allows you to filter your customer list, your supplier list, so you're only looking at relevant records, which can then be sent out to Excel. We've got wildcards, like I mentioned. So wildcards allow you to search for parts of a data field. So if you don't have a complete data field to search for, or you're looking for a record that contains something, you can use the wildcards feature as well. And the filter is across most modules, but it's not in the bank module because that will be contained in the nominal ledger. And filters and sorts can normally help a lot of people if there's not a report available, because you can configure the screen to show you exactly what you need and then export that information to Excel. So I'm going to do a very quick demo on a popular one we may have. So I'm just going to pop onto the demonstration data again. And that is to filter out those customers who have a zero balance. Okay, so it might be that you're doing some chasing of debt. There are other ways of doing that. You can use the chase debt feature if you have access to that. And that allows you to filter on a chase debt sort of basis rather than just a standard basis. However, we're just going to go back to standard view because not everyone has access to chase debt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the filter option to hide those customers who have a zero balance. We've got a few in there and we're going to go into filter. So this filter here allows me to search across many different fields. Okay, so you can build a filter to meet your needs. Now, when you first see this, I'm just going to clear this form. It will look a little bit like this. Okay, so the first one is join. And the only option you've really got is where. Okay, so we're just going to select where. The field is where you've got a lot of choice. Okay, so you can start to build a filter on any of these fields within a customer record. So we're looking at customers at the moment. So it might be that you're looking for an address, it might be a particular payment terms, it could be a customer type that you're looking for, but in this case, we're looking for the balance on the account. So they are on in alphabetical order, so I'm just going to select balance there. The condition, we've got a few options there, so it might be that I'm looking for less than a particular value, but in this case, I'm looking for the balance is not equal to 0. And I could put a different balance in if I was looking for something else there. So I'm going to apply that and close. Now you might have missed it, but it did flash very, very quickly. And I can tell that a filter has been applied, not only because I can't see any 0 balances, but also because at the top, it's only showing me 24 of 30 records. So 6 of them have been hidden using that filter. So again, this allows me now to work with the relevant information of those customers who've got a balance. And it might be I want to send this list to Excel. It might be that I want to start exploring these balances a little bit more. To remove the filter, very easy. We can just use this option here, the little funnel, and that will remove the filter for us. So we're not losing any data, we're just temporarily hiding it from our data set. Like I said, there's a lot more you can get out of filters and searches. So again, we have done a full 45-minute session on filters and searches. So I'd recommend you have a look at that session there if you want to find out a bit more. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to reports and layouts. So this kind of ties in a little bit to the reporting we looked at earlier. But this allows us to assign favorite reports and also default layouts when we're using things like invoicing. So first of all, we'll use invoices as our option here. When we go to, for example, print or email an invoice, we do have the option to go into the record and then print from here. Just bring this across, which then allows us to pick which layout we want to use. But we might want to assign our most commonly used layout so that we can use this print option here. When you click on here, if you haven't assigned a default layout, it will go into this layout here, as you can see here. If we want to quick print or email, what we need to do is assign which ones we want to use. So this print option here allows us to pick each time. But to quick print, we need to tell it which one to quick print with. So it just takes away a few clicks each time. And if you've got a common layout that you're going to use for the majority of your invoices, it's a good idea to set these up. So again, if I just email this one, you'll see I don't have a default email set up. So I'm going to say no, because I'm going to show you where you can set these up. You could say yes and it would take you into setting them up, but you can also go through settings, invoice and order defaults. And in here, we have two tabs, one for quick print and one for email. So if I click on quick print, I can assign a quick print layout for invoices, quotations, sales orders, quotations for sales orders and purchase orders, but I'm just going to do invoices for the purposes of today's session. So I'm just going to browse and I'm just going to pick, for example, the third one down, and I'll do the same for email. Okay, so I've selected both of them. They've both got a layout in there and okay. Now going forward, when I highlight and go to quick print, it immediately knows what layout it wants to print and it's now trying to print it for me. As you can see there, it's just trying to print that into a particular location. If it's connected to your printer, it will go through the normal motions there. Let's pop back onto the demo there. So I'm just getting an error just because mine's not connected up at the moment. But again, with emailing, it would just try and send that straight out for you using what you've configured on that particular layout there. So it will attempt to send that email out on your behalf. So mine's now gone out straight from the software there, rather than clicking to find a layout, then locating the layout and then emailing it. So it's taking the clicks away from you. Okay. Moving on so very quickly because there's so many things to cover in this session there. So again, we've got those default layouts there and it shows you in the handout how you can set those up. The next one is favorite reports. Now this is probably one of my favorite features because this makes my life much easier, especially when I'm trying to demonstrate reports on webinars. And this allows me to highlight which reports I want to use on a regular basis. So within any module that's got the reports feature, when you find a report that you like, that you're going to be running on a regular basis, you can use the star option to add that to your favorites. What that means is next time you come into reports, immediately in your favorites, you are presented with the ones that you've added as a favorite. So rather than having to scroll through, where did I find that report? What section was it in? And going through, up to 900 reports, you can have the relevant ones showing here for you. So you might have some specific reports. You might have some custom reports that you've maybe had created that quite often sit in my customer reports. They can also be added to your favorites. So next time you're coming to do your reports, you can just go into favorites and your top reports are here ready for you to run just as normal using the same criteria. Okay, so again, keep your questions coming. If you've got any, please do get those across to us. I'm going to move on to our final topic now, which is the function keys in the software. Okay, now the function keys are designed to make your batch processing far easier in the software. The reason you might want to use these is it helps to speed up your data entry. It can gain you quick access to functions, but it also can take away the likelihood of errors as well, because there's a lot of the different functions will help you by pre-populating items for you, or in some cases actually making calculations for you. So again, just to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you some of these in action. You will see some of them are already sort of highlighted in the software as well. So I'm just going to go into a batch invoice. And along the top, you have got the options here. So you can click on these, but you can also use your function keys on the keyboard. So some people do like to use their keyboard to navigate around. You can also use them to help you make life a little bit easier too. So I'm just, for example, going to pop on a batch invoice and just going to pop in a value here. And it may be that this is a VAT value. it includes VAT. So I've got £100. That £100 includes VAT. Now, okay, £100 is probably an easy calculation, but if this was a different value where you'd need to go and work out what 20% is, so I'm just going to pick a random number now, change that to a T1. Then what you can do is you could select this and then calculate net. Okay, so then it breaks it down into the net and VAT for you. So if that was the gross figure you were entering here, you don't want to do the calculation, you can get the software to do it for you by clicking here or F9 on your keyboard. What's great is if you're doing quite a few entries at the same time. So for example, I might be entering a different customer transaction, but I want to copy the line above. So I can use the F6 key to copy the line above, or the shift in F6 if I want to add one in. So if it was, for example, the 7th of March I wanted to show, I could use the shift in F6 key here. And also if we want to add or remove a row. So if you're working methodically through a list and it's going to throw you out to have something in the wrong place, what we could do is I could highlight here and click insert, or F7 is the function key, allows me to add a row in between two items. To remove the row, it's F8, or you can click this option here. So I'm going to use my function F8 to remove that. So back to the slides just to show you the list there. Okay, this is from the article. So if you want to use the article, save time using function keys, this shows you exactly all of the function keys in the software. One you might not be familiar with is F1. We'll launch the support guides. And we've also got F11 and F12, which I'm going to move on to in just a moment for you. So please do take a look at that article, and that may help you to start using the function keys to your needs. Okay, so let's bring us back to the slides there. So the F11 and F12 function keys also do have functions attached to them. F11 by default is programmed to launch the control panel. Okay, so as you can see in Tools, Options, and then Environment, F11 has the command popped into there already by default to launch the control panel. So if you were to use F11 in your software now, it would open your control panel. F12 is designed to show your report design software. So if you were to use the F12, it would automatically open report design for you. Now you can change these. These are configurable. So you can come into here, into the environment tab, and change these to something else. And this is where we do normally get you to try and give this a go. Okay, so on the next slide, we would normally recommend to do this on the F12. I think F11 only works on 28.1 and above, I believe. So we normally get you to try this into your F12 box. So what you need to do, and I will show you this first of all, and Michael is going to copy this command into the chat box for me any second now. Quickly jumping to action there. So I'm going to just show you what I mean here. So I'm going to go into Tools and Options, and we're looking at Environment. Okay, what we're going to get you to do now, like I say, I'm going to do it into my F12, which is defaulting to launch Report Designer. I'm going to take out what's in there, and what you can do is you can give it a command. So the command would always start with cmd space /c space start and then the address. Now what we are going to suggest you try is try putting an address into there that will open up our tax code finder article. Now we've picked this one because it's one of our most popular articles, because it tells you what tax code to use. Now I'm going to copy mine across because it's very easy to make gaps or mistakes. So you can see that Michael's copied that into the chat, and I'm just going to pop mine into the F12 there, which is the full command and then the web address. Okay, so if you have a look there, I've got both F11 and F12 on mine now configured for this. So it's the command and then the address. So the command is cmd space /c space start space, then the web address. Now when you do that, if you click on OK, then when you use your function key, F11 or F12, depending on which one you've configured, should open up the article, which is just doing there for me now. So if you do want to give that a go, please do let us know if you've given that a go and if that's worked for you. So Michael has popped in the article, one for the UK and one for Republic of Ireland there. And like I said, what that allows you to do is when you're in your software, you're processing, you all of a sudden think, I don't know what tax code to use here. You can now use the F11 key or the F12 key just to launch this article straight away. So that's why we try and get customers to use it in this way. So if you have managed it and it's worked out for you, please do let us know. But like I say, that's the way you can configure your function keys to open something relevant. And it could be any article. It could be any article. It could be any web page. It might be the HMRC page or ROS if you're in Ireland. You might want it to launch that. So those are the only two you can configure. The rest are hard-coded, so you can't make any changes to those. Again, the handout will give you details there, and it does have that command in the handout as well for you if you decide that you want to give this a go at a later point as well. Okay, I'm going to move on to a summary because we've just got a couple of minutes left there. So Stage 50 Accounts does have a lot of ways that can make your processing easier, and it could just be those small changes that make a quick fix that's going to help you. You can differentiate different lines by either adding the grid lines or also adding colours to the different modules as well. You can alter the screens just to show tasks that you're likely to carry out or to show just the columns that you're more likely to use. Remember, you can add an inactive marker to records that aren't in use, and that means it can be hidden from lists and reports. But you also have that search feature which will allow you to filter out your lists. So for example, as we showed today, it was to hide those with a 0 value. And those function keys, remember those function keys can be used to help speed up processing in your batch processing windows. So there is lots of links throughout the handout today. So again, quick opportunity to remind you there just to get your handout downloaded as well, which will help you in the future and going forward. Now, I do just want to show you our upcoming webinars. So if you bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to bring this across. And also where you can find those recordings. So I appreciate we had one on there about invoicing. I'm going to just bring that across for you. So bear with me 1 second. Just waiting for this to launch. So if you go to sage.co.uk/webinars, that's webinars with an S on the end, this will take you to this page here. Now, we'll just remind you as well, it's payroll year end. So if you or a colleague are doing payroll year end and need a bit of support with that, we've got our payroll sessions live. Our upcoming webinars are within here, but in our recordings, you can see all of our past sessions, okay? So appreciate we had one on there for emailing invoices. We've got 4 sessions for you to view. So please do check those recordings out. But we do also have our live sessions, which is just what I want to show you there. So from this recordings page, I can view the timetable and you can see what we've got coming up. So we are looking at the theme of credit control this month. So you can see our upcoming content there on aged reports. We're looking at statements, but also at budgets as well. So we've got lots of sessions coming out throughout March. But on top of that, what we also have is access to our next badge. Okay, our next badge is coming from the 31st of March. Okay, I've got a quick video to show on that, which I'm just going to run now while I follow up any final questions that are coming through there.
Exciting news! Our next badge is available to book now. From April the 1st to the 11th, dive into our Management Reports badge and master everything you need to know about understanding management reports. We look at the foundations of your reports by looking at the nominal records, how to set these up and how they form the basis of your reporting before delving into the chart of accounts and configuring that to your needs.
Moving on to the trial balance, balance sheet and profit and loss reports. How to run these for your current financial year and how to run these into the future and for prior years. We'll also show you how to reconcile your aged debtors and creditor reports and how to account for any differences before showing you your business dashboards, the perfect feature for monitoring your key business data at a glance.
Attend 5 out of the 6 sessions and complete our quiz to earn your badge. Your achievement will be added to the Accreditable portal where you can share your badge with clients, colleagues and suppliers, showcasing your journey to becoming a Sage expert. Don't delay, get yourself registered now at sage.co.uk/webinars and take the next step in your professional development.
Okay, so that was just a quick video there that just demonstrated the upcoming badge that's coming at the beginning of April. Quick question that Michael jumped on before I could get to it there was just around if you export, so if you hide deleted transactions within the activity, if you export it, does the deleted transaction remain removed from the data set? So I did just test it very quickly just so I could show that. So from my customer, where we had the hide deleted transactions switched on, so we can't see that deleted transaction. When I went to export that to Excel, it didn't export that. Okay, so it's not exported any of the deleted transactions either. So it will only show you using that send to Excel option what is on the screen, and that it happens regardless of where you are in the software. If you've got a filter or a search or something that restricts what you can see, that will apply if you're using the send to Excel. It just literally exports what you can see on the screen there. Okay, I think we'll look to end the session there. We've overrun very slightly, so thank you very much for joining us. Like I say, I hope we're going to see you on another session really soon. Michael will be back tomorrow morning with you. But for now, take care everyone, and we'll see you on another session really soon. Bye for now.